Welcome to the Connected Leaders Academy virtual conference designed to reshape your vision of transformation. As we navigate the evolving business landscape, our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role in this transformative era.
Right, just great music that Inspired Choices Network chose for this. I love that. Sounds like a safari jungle drums. Perfect for dangerous purpose. And I want to thank you for the honor of being able to be part of your day. And you get to spend it with me, Ellis Kirkpatrick. So any questions, comments, or ideas you have, you can always reach out to me at info@wisdomonthefrontporch.com. That's right. info@wisdomonthefrontporch.com. So going back to the danger, the risk, the fear. Tell me, is that what you think of when you hear the words dangerous purpose? If so, why do you think that is? I would like to offer you the understanding of what a dangerous purpose is and what to do with it and where to go with it and how to get to where you want to be and then embrace it and do it again. You see, Proverbs 25, the purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. Now, deep waters can be very dangerous. As a diver, and I love to dive, you have to know your air mixes. You've got to be watching your gauge because you don't want to get down there and end up with nitrogen narcosis. Yeah, it reverses the alteration in your consciousness. And another dangerous Bible verse is Ecclesiastes 3:1. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Now, there's even been a popular song written about that. But let's tell a story. Allow me to tell you the story about Jill and the beanstalk, as in stock market. Well, Jill's family was so poor that when their old cow quit producing milk, her mother said, go take it to the butcher, get some money, we'll buy our nice dinner, we'll just have this really great meal, then we'll lay down and die. Well, pretty grim story. Sorry, but wait. Jill had a dangerous purpose. And so her task was to do one thing, just to let their family eat for one more night. Well, on the way to the butcher's, Jill met a guy selling corn. He told her how one corn could grow 2 ears of corn that would produce about 100 seeds. Then if she planted half, the 50 seeds from 1 ear of corn would produce 100 ears of corn, which is about 5,000 seeds. And she could plant that the following year. And each of those corn stalks would produce 2 ears each, and so on and so forth. And Jill asked, why only plant half the corn seeds? Corn Man said, because you will want some to eat, some to share, some to sell, and you might want to save some for later. Sounds good, Jill said, but we're going to eat well tonight and then we're going to die. So, 3 years of that hard work just isn't going to do it for us. So Jill walked further on and met a bean salesman. She says to him, yeah, I heard it all before. They're beans that I get many pods from and blah, 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 blah. Well, the bean salesman said to her, maybe. However, these are magic beans and they come with a book. No such thing as magic beans, said Jill. And they continued to talk. And Jill ended up trading the cow for the magic beans with the book. She ran home to tell her mother, but before she went inside, she took some of the beans, like the bean man said, just in case, and planted them in the ground. You see, it was springtime after all, and the book that the bean man gave her said that if she followed it, it was a blueprint for success. She didn't know what a blueprint was, but she got to know the bean man. She liked him, liked what he was teaching her, and he gave her a book, so she decided to trust him. Now, she went inside, and what do you think Jill's mother did? Did she throw the beans out the window, or did she plant them? Not if she's like most mothers. You sold the cow for beans instead of selling it for coins to make some dinner. Magic beans, Mama. They were magic beans. Well, unless they magically put meat and other veggies in the cooking pot, we're only having beans to dinner, and boom, she threw the beans into the boiling water. Jill asked her, why didn't you believe me that they were magic? Her mother smiled, patted her on the head and shoulder, and said, I wanted to save you from the heartache and protect you from failing. that you would, but it does happen. Oh, the next morning when Jill woke up, she didn't even stop to get dressed. She just went straight outside to see if the magic beans had grown. Nothing. Well, Jill was glad she didn't tell her mother about planting some because she knows her mom would have said she'd failed, and that was that. But Jill knew better. The book she had said, don't be afraid of failing and to be patient and let things have their time to grow. That day, while her mother was sewing their burial clothes, Jill looked to her and said, "Oh, Mother, you need to think positively that we're not going to die." And Jill's mother just smiled. Jill stuck her earbuds in her ears and listened to the Bean Man's podcast to learn more about manifesting and what you want and about gratitude and thankfulness. You see, Jill had a dangerous purpose for hers and her mother's life. She was going against everything she knew, pushed through the fear to learn all she could to keep her and her mom from starving to death. The next morning, Jill jumped out of bed again and still no beans growing. She started to think that maybe she should have bought the corn, then at least they would have some cornmeal to eat for a few days. Uh-oh. She was starting to head into a really dangerous situation, self-doubt. But listening to the Bean Man's podcast, she was learning about doubt that it destroys, so she quickly stopped that kind of stinking thinking. The following morning, Jill rushed outside again as her mother shook her head and said, at least she has a nice hobby to do. Well, what do you know? A bean sprouted out. Then she saw another push up through the soil, and another, and another. It was finally happening. The neighbors noticed and soon was telling Jill what to do with her beans and how they could help her, and some asked her for some to grow. She was not prepared for what was going on, but she knew she had to stay focused and told everyone that she would take their advice and get back to them the following day. She needed to make the best decision. That night, she read her blueprint book and listened to more podcasts from the Bean Man and realized that what he'd been saying all along was actually happening. He told her how to make her own roadmap based on his years of research to create a formula of success. With the system he provided, she would be able to use her life philosophy to help others get a fast start in their own successful business. Well, to make a really long story shorter, Jill's magic beans produced so many beans that she opened up her own bean store and sold beans, recipe books, bean jewelry, bean bags, and everything beans. In fact, that was the name of her store, Everything Beans. And in the evening after the shop closed for the day, she would hold meetings and teach others how to grow beans and make a living from them. She even got her beans on the stock market, bean stock. Then the big giant mart store wanted to buy Jill's beans, but also taking over 51% of her company, meaning her only source of income would be the big giant mart store. Well, there had to be a bad guy in the story. Well, the beanstalk started to get shaky, not knowing what Jill was going to do. But Jill had great people around her now. One was a lawyer who helped her negotiate an agreement for the big giant mart to buy her beans, but she retained the rights and could sell her own products at her Everything Beans store. The beanstalk market skyrocketed. By now, the neighbors and her mom were convinced and helped her make beanstalk organic clothing and materials like paper products and more. Now, taking dangerous steps to fulfill your purpose in life can actually be one of the safest things you can do. You have a choice when you think of dangerous purpose. Let's do it. Or, oh, those are scary words. But even if they are scary words to you, perhaps you're thinking, okay, I understand that there was fear associated with this dangerous, but the more I know, the more I've informed about the dangers and risk, I can make better choices to be prepared to harness all the safety equipment I will need, and I'm going to step through that fear, prepared to get the reward on the other side. Or perhaps fear has gripped you so much in your mind that you think it's not worth it. Has fear ever happened to you? At the roller coaster? At the rock climbing wall at the state fair? The idea of starting your own business or taking it in a different direction? I'm going to assume you have heard the saying, with great risk comes great reward. In my book, Born to Risk, where I co-authored a chapter titled This Risky Business Called Life, It's on page 45. I start out by saying there is risk in everything you do. So how do you know there's going to be a great reward on the other side of it? Well, that's the danger of it. You don't know, and you won't know until you take that first step, unless you have seen others take a similar risk and step through the danger and received a great reward. So let me become a grandmother for just a moment. I know I'm a grandma, but we're going to have history according to grandma. We all know the world is flat. Those small boats and big boats all get pulled off the edge of the earth and never return again. It's too dangerous. Don't go out on a boat. Too risky. You'll never return. Don't do it. Okay. Today we know that the world is round. That back then ships might have encountered storms or were ill-prepared or lost at sea. We have learned that some of them found other places to live and didn't want to return. And we've learned that some encountered unfriendly encounters. That was once dangerous and risky, but now it's an everyday occurrence with cruise ships and sailing boats. So is the risk and danger still there? Perhaps not the same way, but yes, it's still dangerous to be out on the ocean. There's foul weather, modern day pirates, things break down, and there aren't any giant marts floating around on the ocean to give you supplies. So what happened to our view of the world, changing it from flat to round? Knowledge, experience, and risk takers. How did I go from being someone's grandma to an award-winning multinational, international best-selling author and speaker and mentor and coach in just 2 years? By having dangerous purpose and pursuing it. And did you know that taking dangerous purpose is just taking baby steps? Leaping and jumping and taking huge bounds is a different kind of dangerous, because you miss steps and important details along the way that would have set that solid foundation you needed to build your sturdy, lasting business on. You have to slow down, take baby steps. You have to be intentional about each step you take. You have to think for yourself and not do what it looks like other people are doing. You have a purpose in life. You are passionate about that purpose. You know people's lives will be changed for the better because of your message. You are creating great value. And once they receive it, they will never lose it. A great example of this is when flying airplanes was still considered a brand new thing. Now think about it. Did Charles Lindbergh take a dangerous flight from America to France by strapping on a pair of 2x4s to his arms and expecting to survive? No, he learned from others what they had done, even what their failures were and how they conquered them. And if they did conquer them, he anticipated some of the things he might encounter, how much fuel he would need, and where to store it on the airplane, and what the weight ratio had to be so he wouldn't be too heavy when it came time to take off. Then he had to train his brain on how to stay awake during that whole flight. But first, he made a dangerous decision, that his purpose was to prove that it could be done, and he took one step into that purpose. Now, Michael Faber was saying, one of his mentors said, a made-up mind is a dangerous mind. When you make the decision that this is it, you're going for it, this is the direction. The danger is that you actually achieve it and accomplish it. There is strength in that. You are a threat. Staying safe is over. When it comes to your dreams in life, the impact you're trying to have, we don't stay safe anymore. We stay dangerous. Was it dangerous when you made that decision last week to go for it? Big time. Was it dangerous when you made the decision this morning to achieve the day? Absolutely. You knew there could be obstacles that would happen, that something may not go as planned, but you were willing to take that risk and get out of bed. My mentor, James Malinchak, once told me that when you make a decision, you cut off all the other possibilities, so you only go for it. Your brain sends out a frequency that attracts what you want. He said, fill in this statement, and you can do that too. I gotta do whatever I have to do to get, fill in the blank here, because this may be the only time I get to do it. Now that's dangerous thinking, dangerously achieving thinking. Now, has the thought of pursuing your purpose dangerously scared you? causing your insides to jiggle around and get uncomfortable? Have you ever wondered, what about the bad days, the really bad days? Well, guess what? Steve Harvey says you're already a winner. Now, why does he say this? Your track record for surviving a bad day is 100%. You have survived the hard days, insurmountable days. Think about it. You are here right now. How many days have you had in the past that you didn't know how you were going to get through them? That you thought it was impossible, that you just couldn't take it anymore. Yet here you are today, right now. Les Brown told me in 2022, that's him here, that you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I couldn't figure out how to do that until I discovered these questions that I asked myself. Did you do anything at all to get through them? Did you pray? Did you look for answers, solutions? You see, when you're uncomfortable, you make dangerous decisions because you make changes. You continue on in life knowing that life has a way to make us uncomfortable again. And when you're uncomfortable, you're making decisions, you're finding answers, you're growing, you're learning, you're moving forward in your purpose to achieve 4 things. 1, to achieve more influence, making a positive difference in other people's lives. 2, to achieve more impact to better your community, stuttering here. 3, more income. 4, more for your legacy. And then you repeat 1 and 2 so you can repeat 3 and 4. And what's one way you can do this? The value in you. I believe value is everlasting. Value is not like energy that needs to be refilled. You run out of energy in your energy bowl because you've been dishing it out to everybody. You have to go fill it back in, and that's good. You need to do that. But value, I don't really understand the theory of how it works, but the more value you give, the more you get back to yourself. So you never run out of value. And that value comes from inside you. All those days you didn't think you would make it, all those choices you made, the actions or reactions you took, all of those belong specifically to you. No one ever has or ever will be you, because only you have made those decisions in that moment. That is where your value comes from. That's why 100 people can talk about the same thing, do the same business, and each one's going to be different from the other, because you come from that place of value inside of you. You have great value in you. That value is what makes you worthy, not what you do or what you say. And that value and worth, that makes you enough. And that, my friend, is why you do matter. You're unique, and that's why you have dangerous purpose. Only you can say, think, achieve your purpose, and by golly, people are waiting to hear your message, to impact their lives, to improve their world, to better yours and their communities, online community, even your own neighborhood. You have the choice to be afraid, to hold back, to take leaps and bounds that are going to help you miss things, or you can be 100% different than everybody else. When you take that one step, to build that solid foundation by following the blueprint your mentors and coaches have helped you to formulate, that roadmap that you know is your purpose, that roadmap, which is based on research, theirs and yours, is a system that gives you the repeatable recipe for pursuing your dangerous purpose of making a positive difference in people's lives, bettering your community, creating your legacy, and bringing in the income you want. Have faith in yourself. Because faith exercise is uncertain. Because faith is exercise in uncertainty. I worked on that one. Let's get it right. I'll say it again. Have faith in yourself, because faith is exercised in uncertainty. Now, you want to know the most dangerous part? My friend Desiree Cruz said this: people are inspired by people living a life of purpose. The most dangerous thing I know to do is live the life of purpose that's my message, and doing it in full view of others. And dear sweet Sarah was talking with me before I went live on one of my podcasts, and she said to me, Aren't you always telling other people to do this? It was like she released a rope that was binding me up, and her words made my insides calm. And I said to her, "So, you're telling me I need to practice what I preach?" She said, "You said it. I didn't." And it made a really tough situation better. And she was right. And I learned from it. People are always watching to see if you do what you tell them to do. So when I say step through your fear, it's nothing more than a hologram big and in your face, but not real, then I'd better be stepping through my fears. When I say don't compare yourself to others because they are not you, I had better stop comparing where I want to be based by where others are, because that's defeating and it stops me from living out my purpose. But it's more than that. Your mind, your mental process that's going on while you're taking another step forward has to be releasing that frequency that attracts what you want. Have you ever stepped into your fear, but yet faced it head on, going through it? You're battling it in your mind back and forth. No one knows this but you. You put on a really good front. Or do you? Is your brain releasing a frequency of, I am amazing, you should believe in me, but I don't believe in me? Is that the missing part that's preventing you from getting the clients, bringing in the income, getting the speaker gigs, finding your sponsors, or any number of things you're trying to complete? Dangerous purpose is understanding that you already have been conquering the tough days and you have a success rate of 100%. Doing those things that you need to do to get to where you want to be includes your mindset, your faith, your intentions and actions, your mentors and coaches. Embrace your dangerous purpose in life by actually living the life of purpose with intention, preparedness, and knowing that you have all the tools you need and know how to use them correctly. John Maxwell says success is something you are right now. So go get a mentor and a coach. Go with a guide who has been there. You don't have to do it alone. Your dreams and your visions become clear to see yourself doing that. You know you were meant to do it, and you know what your purpose in life is. And so I want to leave you with this. Every day, always believe that something amazing is going to happen. Then make sure you look for it. Be ready for it. Anticipate it. Then tell somebody about it when it happens. My granddaughter and I text each other. We call each other and we just want to say, something wonderful is going to happen today. And sometimes we'll say, it already did. And then we ask each other later on in the day, what wonderful thing happened to you today? Now, I want you to do something. I want you to go out and live your dangerous, purposeful life. I'm L.S. Kirkpatrick, and I'm here if you need me. You can find me on lskirkpatrick.com, and I'm going to go find out what dangerous or what amazing thing happened to my granddaughter today. The other day she called me, and she goes, something amazing is going to happen, Grandma. And I said, guess what? It already did. And she goes, what? You called me, and we get to spend some time together. Now that is a wonderful moment to spend together. And look at those amazing choices, those amazing things that happen. Keep that dangerous choice, that dangerous purpose, because that's when really amazing things start to happen. Don't give up. Don't quit. You can do this. Find mentors, coaches. You can do it. I know you can. I'm going to get ready to go on the safari with some more of that wonderful, wonderful music. That's my bow drum, by the way. I didn't know when I picked it up to play it. It was one of the most difficult drum instruments to play. And it's like, you know what? I don't care. I like the way it sounds. So you have a wonderful, dangerous, purposeful day.
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.